Hi vibrations, sweet babies. So I just did an energy reading that felt very much like there was some inner teenage healing connected to what was going on in that reading. That reading was very much about like letting go of a version of self or a timeline that just you don't even relate to anymore. You don't even feel connected to anymore. But like you look back on it with a lot of like fondness and loving energy. And I think this is more related to the self, as Aries, as Venus in Venus retrograde leaves the sign of Aries and moves into Pisces. This is going to bring up a lot of reminiscing energy, and definitely bringing you back to a time when you were in a very different sense of self. I think Aries is really bringing up the idea of self, the version of self that you relate to, the version of self and how it showed up in dynamics with other people and maybe even roles in your community and so on and so forth. And I just think that Venus retrograde in Aries is, as it moves into Pisces, is now thinking more about like, wow, that version of self was, you know, maybe really wild, really had a lot of energy to them, very joyous, very whatever. But there was also a lot of growth that was needing to be done under the surface. And so you're able to look back and realize like, yeah, that version of self was wonderful, and I have a lot of self-love for that version of self, but ultimately you kind of feel good about letting that version go. And we talked about, you know, feeling attachments and how it's bringing up attachments and how you energetically attach to things and so on and so forth. So go ahead and check out that previous reading if that sounds groovy and aligned to your current situation, collective. And now I want to talk, more about the inner teenager healing. Because we do a lot of talking about the inner child, and I'm like tapping into this inner teenage part of myself that's like, ugh, we're talking about that inner child again. And it's like this very overlooked, underappreciated, feeling probably disrespected. That's like the edgy, angsty teenager inside of us, because there are a lot of attributes to most people. Let's just keep it a buck, right? Where we feel like we're just overlooked, underappreciated, undervalued, right? And this could be minute things that we do in our household, for our family, right? Or this could be at work, or this could be a gift that you really want to like share and get eyes on you in some way, whatever. But there's like this feeling of the inner teenager that shows up, and it's just kind of like a little bitter, a little bit like F you, because you can't really, and there's probably a lot of visibility stuff around this for us collective, of like the inner teenager. What do we always do to teenagers when they tell us about like their problems that they've got going on, and we're just kind of like, you're a kid, you know, like what kind of problems do you really have? You know, like you have it good, like these are your best years of your life, is what I remember hearing when I was a teenager. And I at the time was dealing with chronic migraines after a car accident where I had a spine injury. I'll tell you right now, those were the worst days of my life, and probably always will be as I look back as an adult. I was in so much pain, and I was really struggling with that affecting my ADHD. It was a really difficult time. So, not to trauma dump on you or anything, but like I'm just very much able to look back and kind of give my inner teenager like a squeeze on the shoulder and be like, dude, you had it pretty fucking rough, and people were very much minimizing what you were feeling, what you were going through. Like right now, I've got like my shoulder up on like couch, and I just kind of am envisioning my arm like around my inner teenager, and just like seeing her, witnessing what the fuck was going on for her as she was becoming a very deeply self-aware individual in society. We're not kids anymore, you know, in the sense that just nothing's personal. There's like no ego. For kids, it's like when someone says something mean to you as a kid, you're just like, well, you got ugly shoes. You just turn around and you're like, they were mean, you know? But then as we become like these people experiencing like more complex situations that feel related to our identity, feel like they're personal about our role in society, it's a very complicated time. And I feel like overall teenagers are just very much minimized in their experiences, and I'm really happy that there's so many more conversations around mental health now, because I think it opens the door for teenagers to really have spaces where they're being seen and heard. But for our inner teenagers, right, I like to think about the 3-seat method, and I heard about this from, I believe she's an author, on a podcast. I'll try to find more information about her and her book and put it below. But she has this 3-seat method where when you feel yourself like becoming reactive to a situation, think about which seat is being sat in. So you have the stool number 1, which is actually probably a high chair, because it's like the very adolescent child version of yourself that's like reacting, feeling completely out of control, right? Because as children, we need to rely so much on other people, and feeling like, you know, outbursts, not really expressing probably clearly what we need, just feeling very much like, you know, a very adolescent feeling around the situation. We might be coming from seat number 2, which is the inner teenager. And this is a more angsty, frustrated, opinionated, probably acting out in some ways. And we can feel like, okay, yeah, this is the inner teenager that's acting here. And then the final seat is the true adult, which is coming from a place of understanding, you know, that our actions are going to create emotions and responses or reactions even inside of us, but we still have control over how we respond to the situation, and being able to come from a place of communication, compromise, underlying connection, without it, you know, having to be an over-the-top sort of situation or cause disconnect first, so on and so forth. So we're talking today about the inner teenager and sort of how that might be showing up for us right now. First card that pops out is relationships. It's a red string. I don't know why red string just feels like important. That card comes out all the time and I never talk about it being a red string. Maybe that's symbolic to somebody. I don't know. Could be. This I feel like your inner teenager may have had a tendency of like kind of spiraling, if we're being honest. feeling low energy, or maybe the opposite, feeling like hyperactive. Just something was off with your energy. You never felt like you were maybe in your own energy. And it caused a lot of responses in your nervous system. There's a feeling of, I just want to send you a lot of love and healing in this moment because I think you deserve it. Feeling like you had to be cautious. Maybe walk on eggshells. I feel like you were really... Focus was important in your teenage years. Focus. Yeah, I just feel like take a nice deep breath. I feel like when you were with your friends, there was a lot of feeling of like peace and feeling like you could relax and feeling like a safety and feeling grounded. You had to show up with a lot of resilience. You bloomed where you were planted, truly. And what I'm seeing is that, you bloomed into something succulent. Like something rich and full, and I don't know why I want to say poignant. I don't even really know what that word means, but there's just, you're complex, you're vibrant. You're not a dainty flower, you're a succulent. You've got sharp edges. You had to persevere, but you bloomed nonetheless. You were always looking to open doors for yourself. You were always trying to find an opportunity, some kind of opportunity. And you really, you knew that you were on, your journey, was going to require you to just not give up. You just couldn't give up. Like, you are not somebody who I feel like had things just necessarily handed to them. And you might have had, food in your fridge, you might have had, a sense of security in your household. I feel like there might have been moments of feeling insecurity, maybe financial insecurity at times, but overall, you felt like you just had luck on your side. Like, you were always gonna be hopeful. Yeah. And you were pretty lucky. Things happened for you. But what is the energy here? You always felt like you had some kind of destiny or higher purpose, higher calling. You're enlightened. You bloom where you were planted, my love. Oh my God, beautiful. Like, you really always had this spiritual connection, and you felt like you were connected to a higher purpose. And it was important for you to connect with the right people in order to achieve those things for yourself. Because I feel like you felt like you would have to move mountains. I don't know why that's what wants to show up. Sevens. Oh. Some things that I think you are looking to... Ooh, baby. Some things that I think you're looking to really recover from this time period in your life are your joy, your abundance, your boundaries, and your healing. I feel like there was something that disrupted that. Recovery is important here. Recovery was something that was important in your inner teenage healing. But you're also looking to recover these things because it feels like there was an energy of that being disrupted. And I just want to be honest, it seems like by the family tree, something going on within the family. And I just want you to know that they're sending you like a lot of love, and they all have a lot of love for you, and you have a very loving, beautiful family. Very deeply rooted in your family tree and honoring your family. And yeah. But there is just something that like really blocked you from feeling divinely guided once these moments occurred throughout your teenage experience that your inner teenager really holds on to. I'm seeing it's also regarding like the heart space and intimacy. Probably also with finances. Okay, let me speak to what we're looking to... I really have a sense that there was some kind of like emergency. Because so many people experience really scary things as teenagers. You may have received like some kind of letter or news Yeah, you might have heard something. There might have been like some really big news was shared with you. Someone told you something. There might have even been like a rumor mill, some gossip. And that just kind of made you feel like some things you couldn't really share your joy about. I don't know. It just blocked you off from like being overly joyous and smiley. Like that adolescent side of self really can show up in that energy very easily. But the teenage side of self started to really start focusing on there's a lot of like sexual energy and sexual healing. So there's probably, teenagers start to discover themselves and go through all kinds of experiences. And I think that this is something that really contributed to the way that you connect intimately with people, and how serious you are about certain things regarding your intimacy. It feels like you were a sneaky teenager, perhaps, and you just kind of skillfully developed the ability to be sneaky. And hi buddy, there's some you needed to keep a boundary with somebody who was maybe a little bit too full of themselves, or there's just something to do with like power dynamics going on here, and that just caused you to feel like you may have felt like they had their eyes on you, or I don't know, but there was just this feeling of like you had to kind of protect your boundaries by being a sneaky kid. I don't know. You had to like kind of keep your distance from certain things going on as a teenager. You kind of knew like to remove yourself from certain situations, or I'm just feeling like you kind of pulled away and became a little bit more distant physically, emotionally, whatever. And these were the boundaries that you needed at the time. But I see that, after a while, these boundaries started showing up as a way that wasn't so helpful to you, but now becoming a little bit more harmful to you. And the things that you wanted to manifest, or just, it became a little bit trickier. You might have even distanced yourself from your own wants and your own needs. Because, we're talking about intimacy and how maybe like your focus on how you connected with people you were interested in or whatever, it just changed. And yeah, it just seems like the way that you want to connect to people around you now, both romantically and just in your community, is very much going to be healing to the inner teenager, because the inner teenager, for whatever reason, to protect themselves, felt like they had to distance themselves from what they actually wanted and what they actually needed to feel truly connected, to feel truly loved and seen and embraced. And because of that, it's felt like maybe you're still figuring out those things, because you kind of might have even lied to yourself about what you were really wanting. So you can just say prayers on these things, and just remember that you've also planted a lot of really beautiful seeds as of lately, and I think some of those seeds are going to manifest and bloom into exactly what it is that you're looking for. Don't let anybody get in the way of that. You know, you can start thinking of that now more as like for your inner teenager. Like the reason that you're being a little bit more, you have boundaries around what you want instead of boundaries to keep yourself safe and protected. It's more about like, I'm keeping my dreams and my goals protected by showing up this way and by only letting these things into my experience, and by doing my healing. And I do see that you are doing some healing around maybe things that did show up in the inner teenager. There's a lot of energy here around being patient, giving yourself time with this, because I feel like that's actually really important for your inner child, or your inner teenager, for you to be able to slow down. There's no rush. There might have been things that you were rushed towards experiencing, maybe felt like you had to grow up fast, and I'm telling you, sorry to be so forward, but like, slowing down is for your inner teenager to truly feel seen and safe, to be able to heal and feel like, whoa, give me my time to, you know, like I'm still a effing kid, you know? That's kind of what I'm feeling into for like the inner teenagers. Like, I'm still an effing kid. Yeah. And you want to just be cautious with your heart right now. A lot of caution with your heart, because maybe there's like some challenges showing up with this healing. I know, I'm shuffling like a mad woman right now. You're seeing how unavailable someone really might be for you, to you, or maybe was in your inner teenage years. Your teenage years, and your inner teenager is now responding with this sort of attitude that, oh, my gut is responding to this. I'm going to have to call this quits very soon. Okay, good. And I'm making good time anyway. 17 is showing up again. Reminder that you are on the right path. Also, whatever you are aligning yourself with on New Year's Eve or 1/1, you are really feeling into the version of yourself that I think is going to be very, very healing for your inner teenager, because it almost seems like you were trying to step into this version of yourself that your inner teenager wanted to be, but now as you're becoming an adult, you're realizing that it's more important for you to show up as who your inner teenager needed. And you'll still always be the fucking awesome inner teenager who's going to do all of these really cool fucking things for themselves, and has done really fucking cool things for themselves. Pardon my French. I'm just saying, like, now you're going to be showing up with a little bit more, I think, inner joy, feeling abundant, feeling grounded, feeling safe, feeling healed, feeling focused, feeling energetic, like all those things that you might have been experiencing as an inner teenager but really weren't seen, valued, and recognized. So really quickly, your inner teenager is really good at picking up red fucking flags, okay? They were very observant, very much, maybe their intuition was diminished as an inner teenager, as many of ours are. But you actually really heavily relied on your intuition because there was like an inavailability to something, to some kind of resource that you had needed. And in a way, there was always this version, this inner teenager part of yourself that really was trying to open doors and trying to seek out some kind of opportunity to replenish sort of whatever this need was that was not available and was not there. And because of that, you have developed a beautiful, strong intuition. You can really read into the energy of situations. You've always been very spiritually connected and in tune. This is something that you might have distanced yourself from as well as an inner teenager. You might have, like, some people, they get shamed if they believe in things for a long time. Like, for example, like, even the whole idea of, I know this is inner child stuff, but, like, believing in Santa for a long time. And then there's an age where, like, kids get a little bit brutal about the things that you believe in. And you kind of feel silly and you push all those whimsical things down and tell yourself, like, nothing is magical and nothing's real. And I just kind of feel like the same was happening for your inner teenager, of maybe this feeling of, like, skepticism, or, like, people questioning, like, why you were so faithful or why you were so intuitive. Maybe you looked into, like, a lot of symbols and messages and you just felt really connected to spirit. And there was a time when you distanced yourself from that, but you know it's always there for you to connect back to and come back to. And I kind of feel like that's how you really open that door and find that resource that you've been looking for on something that felt very closed and felt really unavailable to you for, I'm seeing, probably a decent amount of your teenage years. And it definitely contributed to, I think, like, this might have involved an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Okay, give me one more, like, I don't know, maybe 2 more minutes of your time. I want to see what symbols come out here. You're being asked to really express yourself, find healing through the throat space, which is expression. I would say in a way that it is creativity, because you're finding ways to tap into your truth, you know, so your truth can come out in all kinds of new ways. You can speak on things, you can write about things, you can journal about things, you can sing about things, you can ramble on audio recordings as you shuffle cards. So there's some cord cutting that you can do. Recovery is showing up here again. I feel like you're going to find a lot of recovery in this situation regarding your inner teenager and why it's feeling activated at this moment in time. Full moon has been showing up. Might be a significant time period. We're coming into a full moon. Oh. April. The new moon is right around the corner. Monkey in the middle. Water. Okay. Yeah, you're learning the art of letting go for your teenager. I feel like your inner teenager struggles with letting things go. And that might mean many things to many different people. This could show up with emotions, attachment styles, grudges. You're being asked to be okay with being on your own. Be okay with forging your own path, being on your own. It's real, in quotations. You can't rush your healing. Okay, so don't try to rush this process again for your inner child or your inner teenager. Slowing down through this process. 1/1, again, like I mentioned before, January 1st. Some things feel like deja vu right now. That's how you know you're healing. Something regarding the home. 17 is showing up. 12. Like I said, 1/1. Ask and you shall receive. Waxing moon. Okay, trust. Higher self. Yeah, you're stepping into your higher self as you heal through these inner teenage wounds right now. You're learning that it's safe to trust your intuition and act on your intuition. You're cutting cords to the past that your inner teenager has been harboring and struggling to cut these ties. And you're learning to protect your energy, that your energy is really sacred. And as a teenager, maybe that's not what you learned. Maybe that's not what you believed, or you just didn't act like it. So return the energy to sender from all of those experiences in your teenage years that you feel really are like holding you back, holding you in a place of operating from the inner teenager, which might include a lot of fears, again, regarding those situations that I mentioned. Yeah. Give it time. Don't rush this healing process. Protecting your energy right now, knowing what's worth your energy, know what to focus your energy on. That is like a beautiful way to bring balance to the masculine energy within anybody, is to channel your energy and focusing your energy in on something. That's alchemy, baby. That's transmutation, baby. Right? So you're doing all of this just, again, to remind you to heal your joy, to heal your abundance, to heal your boundaries, and just in general to find a lot of healing. A lot of healing that's going to really impact the way that you show up in your connections, how you view intimacy, just the way that you relate to other people. Okay, remember, this is all part of your journey. the work that you're doing now can absolutely heal this inner teenager part of yourself, and you're going to feel a lot lighter, like a real release of some of the things that you may have been holding on to from this time period in your life. You know, we talked about some songs coming up in the last reading that I did of reminding you of a time period in your life. You're letting go of that timeline or the attachment to the version of yourself in that time period of your life, shifting into a higher vibrational timeline than maybe that version of yourself was on. And it's sometimes hard to adjust to that realization that where your path is heading now might actually in fact be even more beautiful. And just remembering that your inner teenager had a lot of resilience, a lot of determination, had a lot of goals, and had a lot of beautiful gifts that still want and need to be expressed. And in order for you to really, I think, your higher self really wants to integrate those things, those lessons, and that healing, so that you can really achieve all of those things that your inner teenager deserved, truly. So this is powerful work. I hope that you do this alongside of somebody who can offer you space, being held while you do this kind of reflective work. I definitely am going to do this type of work alongside with my therapist, and even some friends that are doing some similar work right now and looking at these similar things in their lives. I definitely, I wanna show up for them, and I know they want to show up for me. So I think that's also really gonna speak. I think you're gonna have some connections shift and change regarding the people that may have been involved in your inner teenage years. This could be like with actual physical contact, like where you're talking to them in this plane, or you're shifting and healing some of the things that you are like energetically attached to some of those people from your teenage years. And I do see that these are going to shift for you. Okay, that's my reading. It ended up being longer than I thought it was going to be, but I feel really good about what I shared, and I feel really good about the things you're doing, and I hope you do too. Yeah, all right, I'll talk to you soon.